Hello, dear friends. It's Dr. Sarah. I have been having fun sharing my clinical tips with you, and I hope you have been enjoying them too. My wish is that this information is providing you with education that can empower you to making more nourishing and more nurturing choices to optimize your life. Recently, I've gotten some feedback on my video blogs, which I super appreciate. Thank you. And some of you said that you are interested in learning more about what I actually use in my clinic, in my functional medicine and naturopathic medicine practice. So I want to take heed of what you think you would most benefit from and also continue on with the education part that a lot of you liked as well. So I'm going to split this video blog into two parts. And what I want to do today is explain how essential oils accomplish hormonal harmony, because one of my specialties is actually hormonal health and women's health. And a lot of people are struggling with all that we are up against today that can cause havoc on our hormones. My aim is to help you understand how essential oils actually aid in balancing hormones. And I also want to clear up some of the confusion that's in the blogosphere where some people are claiming that essential oils are actually estrogenic. And we'll get into that in a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is just really briefly in this video, so you don't have to hold off, is list four of the most used single essential oils that I use in my practice for helping my clients achieve hormonal harmony. And then later on in the next video blog, I'll go through why I use these essential oils specifically, how they're helpful, and some applications. Now, as always, all the links to the resources and the references will be at the end of the video blog post. And I also have a special bonus for you. I'm going to open up a few articles that are in my essential oils database, which is usually only available for membership community members. This will give you kind of a taste of what can be found in the essential oil base, as well as the membership community also has a forum, it also has a course, and it also has additional resources and some videos from me. So that being said, let's get started and talk about essential oils and hormones. Now, the first thing about essential oils is to remember is that they can modulate through multi-dimensional pathways because there's so many constituents in one drop and because they affect our biochemistry and our physiology. Now, does that mean that the actual constituents in that essential oil could be estrogenic? And some people say yes, they are. In fact, one example is sclerol, which is actually, it is not a steroid hormone. It is actually triterpene alcohol that is in clary sage. And because of this fact alone, it isn't a steroid that can actually sit on the cellular receptors and act as an estrogen. So that would mean that even though it's claimed to have estrogenetic effects, it probably isn't because the biochemistry just doesn't match. The other thing is that because of the way that essential oils are manufactured, there's varying quantities and quality of clary sage oil on the market. And clary sage in general has been shown to be helpful for women's hormones. And that's why some people probably say it's estrogenic, but that isn't necessarily why clary sage is working. And it would be hard to decipher if scleral was the key component. How come some clary sage oils might not even have that component and still be helpful for hormonal symptoms? So that's another reason why it's likely not estrogenic. Now, in a review article about this very topic by aromatherapy guru Robert Tisserand, who actually kind of is one of the grandfathers of aromatherapy. He wrote one of the first books in the 70s, and he's a big resource for safety with essential oils. He wrote that on the basis of its structure, which I just mentioned, scleral is unlikely to have an estrogenic action. Even if scleral was estrogenic, it's only at about 4% in the clary sage oil, and it would have to be at a very high binding affinity for estrogen receptor sites for the essential oil to actually have any effect, and that's really unlikely. And it doesn't mean that clary sage oil isn't effective, because it can be useful for relieving things like menstrual pain, premenstrual symptoms, menopausal symptoms, and other problems. But none of that means that it's related to the fact that it's estrogenic. And he isn't saying that scleral could not possibly be estrogen-like. It's just that there's no real evidence for it. And the structure doesn't suggest as so. It's not a phytoestrogen or anything. So there's no evidence that it's, quote, balancing hormones as a hormonal modulator, or that it can stimulate or decrease estrogen based on a deficiency or an overabundance of estrogen. So then if that's the case, then how do essential oils work? I'll get to that in 1 minute, but I do want to talk a little bit about another reason why people say that essential oils are estrogenic. So we know based on its chemical structure and the varying quantities, it's not, as we use an example for clary sage, it's likely not estrogenic. And what about other essential oils? Well, lavender and tea tree are probably the most common essential oils. And there had been a few headlines and some research on case studies of a couple of boys that actually used products that contained lavender or tea tree oil within the actual product. It wasn't that they were using the essential oil alone, and they grew what is known as gynecomastia or man boobs. Now, there's a couple problems with this. One, like I just mentioned, that the actual products were shampoos, conditioners. I can't recall the exact, but they were personal care products, soaps and such. And these actually do contain endocrine disrupting compounds. They're actually known for causing estrogenic effects and hormone imbalance. So it's hard to say that something that actually is known to cause that isn't the cause of the man boobs versus essential oils, which aren't known for causing that. The evidence that they claimed was related to the fact that these specific essential oils cause man boobs was related to the fact that there were some in vitro, which are petri dish studies, that showed that a high concentration of a single isolate from the essential oil caused estrogenic-like actions in a petri dish. Couple problems here too. One, if you put something in a petri dish that's plastic, we know that plastic can have estrogen-like effects. And two, it wasn't using the actual essential oil. They were taking an isolate. So it's hard to say that, again, at such a low level of that compound, not in a plastic environment, if it would cause, quote, man boobs or an estrogenic effect. So I wrote a couple articles about how I'm pleading people to stop claiming that lavender and tea tree cause man boobs and why. I go into more detail about that. There's actually additional reasons why those studies are not very valid, in my opinion, and other researchers' opinion. So you can check that link out in the resource section. All right, so we know that essential oils aren't necessarily acting as estrogenic or even acting as progesterone or hormones in the body. As of today, that's what we know for the most commonly used essential oils on the market. So how are they working? Well, they're holistic. They don't necessarily manipulate biochemistry, right? We're used to drugs that take one particular isolate and then it goes down a biochemical pathway and that causes an effect in the body. Essential oils, there's hundreds of different compounds in one drop, and it's causing a vast amount of balancing effects in the body and hitting cellular receptors in a way that if the body needs it, it enters into the cell. If it doesn't need it, then it's detoxified out through the body, mostly through the kidneys or liver. So they actually help address hormone issues, what I view as the root cause of what could trigger a hormone imbalance in the first place. So for example, probably one of the most commonly used reasons people use essential oils is to help them get some stress relief. And on a kind of more scientific in vogue term in the health sphere right now is that they actually modulate the vagus nerve, which is the parasympathetic or the rest or digest part of the nervous system. They calm the body down. And by relieving stress, what essential oils will do is they'll regulate the cortisol output, which our adrenal glands secrete when the body is under stress. And this is a good thing because if we get too much stress for too long, our body produces too much cortisol at the expense of, it's making cortisol at the expense of estrogen and progesterone. So if you balance the stress response, you indirectly balance estrogen and progesterone by stopping what some doctors call this cortisol steal, right? We're allowing the cholesterol to go down into the actual sex hormone pathways rather than the body using it for survival to produce the cortisol. Another area where essential oils can modulate hormones is that they support mood, emotions, and trauma. And this is through the aroma that when we inhale essential oils, that aromatic molecules directly go straight to the emotional part of the brain in the limbic system. And they can also be used as a pattern interrupt when we smell to create new neural pathways, which is something known as neuroplasticity. There'll be a link in the video description. I won't go on that tangent right now because I did in several other videos, but basically it helps rewire the brain from something that is either little t or big T trauma and help the body process those emotions and calm the body down to help the memory be less activating. Another thing essential oils do is they have been shown to modulate neurotransmitter release. So things such as lavender might have a correlation to serotonin output, or citrus oils might be impacting serotonin output or GABA. And what we found is that there is a correlation between neurotransmitter release and hormone release. So there's an intricate relationship between serotonin and estrogen and progesterone and GABA. So when essential oils calm the body down, they're also helping the body produce more of these feel-good hormones, which would also help the body's hormones, the estrogen and progesterone, also balance out as well. Another thing essential oils do is they benefit sleep, and sleep helps hormones. Essential oils can do this by impacting neurotransmitters. Lavender, for example, impacts melatonin. They calm our stress down and they calm our nervous system down. And all of this will help sleep and it'll help hormone action. Now, their molecular actions, just straight biochemistry, also address some of the hormonal issues that at the root cause at the cellular and physiological level, because this is hundreds of different molecules that act on those multiple pathways I discussed. And those different molecules can have anti-inflammatory actions. They can act as antioxidants. They can help the body produce enzymes to help with digestion and detoxification. They can ward off infections. They can support the microbiome by actually feeding the good guys. And they can aid in metabolic functions, and they do a whole lot more too. So when you have that many molecules in one drop and when it's nature, that helps balance things out and it's in synergy with our body and blood chemistry, you can get a lot of good things happening. Now, I have a whole podcast on holistic support of hormones with essential oils, and it's really good resource because I go into the science if you're interested and also list some specific essential oils, more than the four I'm going to mention now, that can help with some of the symptoms of hormone imbalance, as well as some of them that have been shown to modulate hormonal levels, but not because they're estrogenic in some clinical studies. So now that you understand how essential oils aid hormone balance, let's preview my favorite oils for hormone health in my clinic. So the four essential oils that I find the most helpful for hormonal harmony are based on some of the small clinical trials that have showed positive effects, as well as my 20 years, hard to admit that, of clinical experience of using essential oils with my clients. And these four oils that I recommend the most are rose geranium, clary sage, lavender, and neroli. Neroli is kind of expensive, but it seems to be very helpful, especially if it's stress related. But I won't get too much into that because I'll go into that more in part 2. So to summarize everything up, what we know from today is that essential oils work in a holistic way. They aren't estrogenic and they do not manipulate our biochemistry or our hormone levels, but they can help the body to regain balance in a way that works with our body's systems and our physiology rather than, again, manipulating it. They also positively influence the different biochemical pathways at a cellular level to help our body be more sensitive at the receptor site to hormonal signals. So I hope this information was helpful for you and that it's something that you can use to empower yourself when you use essential oils for your hormones. You can think about how you might be having different symptoms, or maybe stress is a root cause of the hormone imbalance, and how you can incorporate essential oils into your wellness regime so that you can get some balance and optimize your health. I would love to hear from you on your favorite essential oils that you find helpful for hormonal harmony. And I really want to thank you for taking the time to learn today to help empower your body, mind, and spirit, and to nurture yourself, because you are worth it.